Hey there, I'm back. I guess this is about the 5th video I've done. I probably got about 12 or 13 minutes, I guess. The primary reason that I even come on here to say anything has to do with, there's a million things that I can address, to help others, if it does help others, to sort of sort through why things are happening the way that they are, right? So I thought, okay, what is it that brings us the greatest value, and what it is that we all do together, right? And how do we measure that value? And the way that I've always measured value from the time I was a child, because of realizing that I was in a place where the energy was distorted, because it wasn't what love is, which is what I am in living spirit, is measuring value. And you're measuring the experience, which means you're measuring the data input. The data input is a signal of communication that you're now experiencing. Okay? So if you know you're experiencing something that is less in communication than what you are in waveform communication, then with me, I burn it up normally. But in this case, when I was a child, I realized that I'm basically in a program. Okay? So in order to understand how the program works, which means I got to understand how they're programming people to essentially self-terminate themselves on their own timeline. How the hell does that work? Okay, so when you know that as a child, okay, you can imagine how that was for me. I was all by myself, but I'm not really by myself, because my heart is who I live through, which is what I use to communicate my energy with. So I got the rest of the cosmos with me, which is all that light, okay? So I know right away that my sanctuary when I was a little boy is to get out of that house, get out of that box, and get into the trees. Now I'm with her. Okay? So I'll start with that. So I measure value through a goddess. Okay? So she's the teacher. So I'm learning through a goddess. Through her spirit, what she communicates to me that I learn. So I want to be in alignment with my spiritual mother. Okay? So the love she gives me, I give her back. Okay? So that's pretty simple on an elementary level, at least when I was a child. Okay? So fast forward on the timeline. Okay? Which means we're always running timeline 0. Okay? Because you know that you are eternal light, which is in living spirit, through which you use that energy to experience who you are, because the cosmos is moving at such a high rate of speed for you. You realize that while you're in here, you only have a very short period of time to sort of put together the underlying causality of why you're experiencing everything that you're experiencing and the way that you are experiencing it. So that experience is one moment at a time, one data bit at a time, is represented by the energy that you're experiencing by absorbing and experiencing the data. So it is the data that you're experiencing, which is the input, and based on what you do with that data is going to be the output, because you're recording that data in memory. That's a program. Okay? So I wanted to start with that. That's pretty simple stuff. So Patty Broussard is probably one I refer to because she built the KSC computer lab. Hey, you hear that noise? This is a good example. Somebody'd say, you're judging that person. No, I just made an observation. I just heard loud noise by a motor. So I'm going to myself, what is it about loud noise and being in a transportation vehicle and making a lot of noise when there are ships right above my head that are moving at incredible speeds that don't make a sound? That's called a frame of reference between who they are and what that is. Okay? So now you're able to make a qualitative assessment based on energy and value. Okay? Like teleportation. So anyway, I wanted to end what I'm going to do here today, and I'll just share this with you about energy and different places that I've been that I experienced. I'm in Reno, Sparks, Nevada. Ordinarily, I would never choose this as a place to do a video, okay? I would prefer to be in a place like the Big Island of Hawaii when the magma is active, so I'm experiencing all her highest stuff, right? So that means that the energy that I'm experiencing through her is thus going to be used as the energy that I'm using to communicate with everybody else with on this video. But I can always go into my heart, which means I'm always connected to her, which means I can always share that same energy with everyone on a video. Okay? So because so many things are happening, and I'll address this very quickly because there's so much that I could address. And that is, let me just give a plug to Patty Broussard if you want to catch her videos with Karen Ann Luke McDonald, who's the clan mother of my clan, which is White Bear. So I'm an Indian. I call myself a wooden Indian. Ever seen a wooden Indian at Disneyland? With the bonnet of the eagle feathers? Oh, where is it here? Okay, rate of change. That's critical to understand. Okay, because you see, it's like being aware of why things happen the way that they happen at the rate of speed at which they're changing. Okay, because change is always occurring. Okay, change is always occurring. Okay, now I don't want to get into static and residual. When I was in the fire department, when water's at rest, and when you open the hydrant and there it goes, now it's under pressure. Okay? So it's like electrons that are moving at a very high rate of speed. Okay? And you're experiencing all that electricity. Yeah. Okay, so when we get into stellar activation, I was living in the forest up by Mount Lassen because there's certain energy that I prefer to experience. It's what we call an energy niche. I prefer to be with her where the energies are way the hell up. Because now I'm in alignment with the higher stuff. Yeah, right? So who wants to come down into cities and stuff like that when as soon as I go down there, I got to, it's called a power drain. Man, who wants to experience this energy? Get the hell out of here. So you acknowledge the energy that represents what you are, and then your antennas are picking up the energy that represents what that city is. I don't want my battery drained because now I got to work at keeping my energy up. I'd rather be in a state in which I'm experiencing heaven all the time. Now my imagination is free to roam in the universe. Sort of like that. So this isn't the ideal energy environment I normally experience, but it's going up here, and that's a good thing. So this has to do with what I call rate of change, which is the rate of speed. So the first time that I really began to notice that the speed of time or the speed of energy was really moving up was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. But when I came out of the woods and said, okay, if you want to call that stellar activation, even though I was already activated, because it's like I already knew when I came in here what was going on, which was a spiritual battlefield, which is nothing more than an electric war, which is nothing more than a frequency war between high and low frequencies that are not in harmony with each other. Okay, one's canceling out the other, and the other wants to burn higher stuff. Okay, so when love is a law, we're all experiencing peace, love, harmony, and balance with each other because we're all in waveform alignment with each other because we're running higher speeds together. So I thought when I was around 15 or 16 years of age, when I began hanging out with a lot of other artists, which was up in San Francisco during the 60s, and I don't want to get into all the CIA stuff with their music and all the rest of that because it's sort of like enmeshed in all that stuff was us. Indians, or if you will, light workers and light warriors that were here for a given mission to do the things that we do when we're here. So, in other words, we're already aware of the future and why they're doing what they're doing now. Okay? And then there's what we're aware of, which is the future, which proves the past, which has to do with the timeline. So I knew, for example, when I was a small child, that I was experiencing what it's like to be in heaven. Okay, so I'm going, wait, was that in the past that I was experiencing that? Because what I'm experiencing right now with the energy that's being presented to me, which represents who they are, which isn't what the past was? No. All there is right now. That's right, I live in eternity, don't I? Yeah, so there isn't any time. And then I began to realize that this is timeline zero. This is why we're here. So when you sort of speed the energy up on a timeline, it means that we're moving towards a higher frequency waveform speed in which we're all experiencing the higher frequency energy together. Okay? That means the changes that are taking place incrementally. And they have to be done incrementally because you just can't change the energy that fast, that quickly, or all of a sudden you go from one movie projector and all of a sudden you're in another one. And it will freak you out, okay? They don't want to do that. She doesn't want to do that. she was moving the poles very slowly at one time. And then I was told that the Arcturians had stabilized the poles, which was to allow them to have the time to rescue more children, if you will. And so I sort of put this, what I call, through the hopper, you know. And so I implicitly trust everything that's happening because I know, like, I've already been on the other side of this, okay, which is what love is, okay? So this just means that, hey, we're going through a bumpy ride here, and the energies are going to start to accelerate, which means the rate of change is going to start to accelerate. And the next thing you know is that the old program that everybody was running, which was in that movie set, we're going to another movie set. We're moving to a more beautiful movie set. Okay? So when I began to obviously know that, it means, okay, how many are we going to lose? Now we get into classrooms, and now we get into students, and now we get into those that have the ability to be able to make the necessary speed changes to dissolve all the things that we're hanging on to so we can experience the higher speeds that are changing. Because if you can't move into the other movie set, which represents the higher frequency waves in which we're all experiencing together in harmony, then we lose you. So for me, and I've mentioned this a few times in the past, as an empath, I don't want to lose anybody on a spiritual battlefield. We don't want to lose anybody. But I don't have any control over that. That's your journey. That's everybody's journey. So it's deeply painful for me to be able to experience the loss of anybody because that's a loss of energy in them that I am experiencing. Okay? Because we are what love is. But we're going to lose those that can't get that speed up to become what love is in their core frequency vibration as a result of not only all the trauma that they've experienced that needs healing, okay, but all the different beings that are here that by virtue of their genetics, okay, is going to make it very difficult for them to make the transition, particularly for beings who, instead of being in love and service to others, which means they're giving away energy all the time because they realize what they are, they're always getting back what it is that they are in energy, they're taking and taking and taking and taking. And when you keep taking more energy, believing that that's how it works, you're running in reverse. And you're going in the opposite direction that we are. Okay? And that's painful. That's the program. The program that they were putting into people's mind to run in memories was to go in the opposite direction. That's why everybody's experiencing so much contamination. That's why they're not living in purity. So you got to burn off all the lower stuff that represents toxic input, toxic output data that we were experiencing that represents a program that is lower frequency. So when you are experiencing what love is, and you're reaching spiritual purity, then imagine what that experience is like. It means you're not experiencing any harm being done to anybody anywhere that you go. The water that you drink, the air that you breathe, everything is, in other words, the energy is thriving like crazy. And what that does is it allows everybody's creative mind and what it is that you come up with and you can discover, we will share that with everybody. And when that happens, we all benefit by that. That's what it means for a thriving civilization of people to raise their state of consciousness and expand it by the amount of light that they're using to experience how much light that is on what's possible. So we experience what's possible, and we're giving that energy to become what that is. That's where we're going. That's humanity. That's the evolutionary higher consciousness that humanity has realized its full potential. But the full potential of what we can be is unlimited because the only limit that we put on that light is based on how much love we have. So when you know that your love is infinite, then you know that that light is infinite, which means the potential that we have is infinite. So if you use and throw the exponential function into that, then imagine where we go. You see? So I normally work with children because they have such vivid imaginations and they have so much energy already that taking them for a nature walk through nature, they begin to feel how powerful they are as creator beings because they're in alignment with one. See? You can't take that away from a child, okay? Because once it feels the experience of having that much power of creation, they don't ever want to give up their paintbrush. They don't want to ever give up their musical instrument, which means they realize they can be anything they want to be, because the energy that they're experiencing to do that with is so powerful, because the frequency is so high. It's vibrating so fast. So they had to strip that out of the children and then make it a carrot and a stick. No, no, no. You're under our control. I would never do that to a child. But that's what they did here. And the amount of pain I feel in my heart from what they did to children here is just horrific. And that's why everything's changing. So anyway, I'll leave you all with that. And I love you with all my heart. Okay? We're going in the right direction. I will leave you with that. I usually start or end with just sort of saying that fear wasn't what created the cosmos. Okay? When a child realizes that it was love that created the cosmos and they can feel it in their heart, they're always at home. Home is in the heart. That's where love is. I'll leave you with that. Have a good day. I love you all. Mwah.